the Taoiseach about the conditions of many of our schools. We have some fantastic physical buildings. You were in one recently in my own community in Kingswood. But we also, and that shows what's possible and what really we should be aspiring all our children to have access to. But unfortunately, lots of children are going to school in buildings that are really completely unfit for the purpose of being used as schools, and they need new quality buildings built on them. I'll give you an example of St Aidan's Community School in Brookfield. I mean, the Minister for Education was out there recently. I'm sure she saw it. You can ask her about it. It really is in a terrible, dilapidated state. The roof is an ongoing problem. There are multiple serious leaks through the roof every single year. Obviously, the carpet is completely damaged as a consequence. The external walls are exteriorating. There's like white stuff coming out of the walls all over the place. The windows are in a terrible state. The CCTV, I could go on and on and on. The point is, they need a new building. They really do, and they can't even get a timeline on when such a decision will be made.
I hear what Deputy Murphy has to say about new schools. It was a pleasure to open Kingswood Community College in his constituency there the other day. St Oireachtas and Kerr National School in Tipperary in my own constituency only the other day, and looking forward to opening the Evan Rice School in Castleknock in a few days' time. And when you see these new school buildings, you really see how wonderful they are, how high quality they are, what's possible. But it makes the old buildings seem all the more worse. And I have the same experience when it comes to new hospital wings. It really reminds you how much more we need to do when it comes to replacing old infrastructure, not just building new infrastructure. We have a school building budget now of about €1 billion a year. It's never been higher. It's a huge programme underway. Can we increase it more? Yes, we can. And we'll consider that as we review the NDP thresholds. But there are real constraints. There are only so many builders out there. There's only so much steel. There's only so much concrete. And we're starting to run into constraints that are not about money. We can increase the funding, but that will speed it up. It'll also increase the cost. But like I say, I totally understand where the deputy is coming from on that. On the staffing levels raised by Deputy Murnane O'Connor, she's right to say that we have more teachers now in Ireland than ever before, and pupil-teacher ratios are at or close to an all-time low. On the specific issue, I'll have to come back to her. I just don't know enough about it and don't want to give an incorrect answer, so I'll ask Minister Foley to come back with a detailed reply. On children with additional educational needs, as was raised by Deputy Moynihan and Deputy Batchik and others, we have a dedicated minister responsible for special educational needs now for the first time ever in Minister Madigan. A very substantial budget, I think about €2 billion, nearly a quarter of all our education budget now goes on helping children with additional educational needs. More SNAs all the time, more special classrooms all the time, or more special classes all the time rather, and some new special schools. But am I satisfied? No, I'm not, and I don't think I could be. And anybody who attends their constituency office or constituency clinic and hears the number of stories of children who aren't getting the help they need early enough couldn't possibly be satisfied. But we're doing more every day, every week, every month, and that's going to continue. Just in relation to the issue of teacher shortages, which are occurring in many schools, raised by Deputy Barry, accept that this is an issue. I know of quite a number of schools, not just in my own constituency, but in others where student choice and subject choice has been restricted. There are a lot more subjects than there used to be, so it is harder to fully staff all the subjects than it would have been in the past. But it is a shame to see student choice being restricted in that way. It's one thing not to offer a subject, it's another thing to take it away. And I know that's happening in certain instances too. And Mr Foley is working on this and seeing what options are available. But as is the case across our economy, public sector and private sector, low-paid jobs and well-paid jobs, we're at full employment. And there are shortages across the board, and even increasing pay doesn't necessarily solve the problem because of full employment, and that's particularly the case when you've an international labour market for particular skills. But anything we can do that we believe will work, we will do. I can't go into the details of the individual case that Deputy Boyd Barrett raised without knowing the details. But if he wants to pass them on to me, I'll see if we can get a reply from the Minister for Housing on that specifically. And then just in relation to matters that Deputy Tobin raised, I think he's right. if children are engaged in violence and serious crime, there have to be consequences. But I really think that it has to be done on an individualised basis. Nobody wants to see a child being criminalised or getting a criminal record or having to be put in detention, and that's why there are alternatives in place. But it does depend on the individual case, the gravity of the crime, the circumstances around it, and what's best for the children involved.